It is interesting to see that anytime there is a big movement around League of Legends, it always comes from the outside. It is never really the dedicated players that force a change, unless it is Hextech chests. But rather, all of those big changes happen after League is faced with a big potential, but that potential crumbles because League is not that good at opening the door for new players. By far the most infamous case of that was Arcane. After Arcane, a lot of people got hyped for the League of Legends universe, they started playing League of Legends, and after a couple of games, they quit. And so Arcane wasn't necessarily great for marketing League of Legends. But now, sometime later, we are faced with the exact same thing. But this time, there is a twist. Because Riot has been aware of this issue for many years now. I mean, it is likely that the lack of new players is one of the big reasons why Riot is working on the big overhaul for 2027. And this guy right here is the living proof that Riot is making the right decision. How did Dantes and Lulu get in here? Well, that's a long story. But the key point here is that Jinxy started playing League of Legends for the first time, which started a new big wave. And so he already got some coaching from other creators. People loved watching him League of Legends for the first time, and he already got permabanned. But the creator team behind League of Legends then made a move that increased Riot's reputation by 300%. I told you there is a big story to be told. And the best part is, this story is still just starting. Just like how your story is starting with today's sponsor. We all play by the code, right? Of course, I'm talking about the code that we wrote ourselves, because this video is sponsored by boot.dev. At this point, code is all around us, so why don't you master it before it masters you? With the help of boot.dev, you too can learn anything from Java to Python to Go. And you can learn in just about the best way imaginable. Not by studying or by sitting through lectures, but by going on quests, collecting loot, leveling up, and enjoying the fantasy world you just conquered with your code, with every line helping you progress further into the dungeons. And who knows, maybe you too will face one of the bi-weekly raid bosses. And while you're at it, become the best raider there has ever been by utilizing the great wisdom of the Wizard Bear. This fellow helps you with the toughest challenges. And should there not be anything challenging enough, the training grounds can generate new obstacles so you can keep sharpening your edge. Of course, with all of this, you'll acquire the wisdom of backend developer, which remains among the highest paying positions in the industry. So don't wait and in a single year change your life around. Become a developer. Like me. So click the link in the description and use my promo code Necrit to get 25% off of your first year if you choose the annual plan. With that, once again, many thanks to boot.dev for sponsoring this video, and now back into other developer news. So, as it happens to be, this is not the first time there is a big creator that started playing League of Legends for the first time and it was a big success. Yes, the exact same thing actually happened with Ludwig. When he started playing with his goal of being above average, that was a big event. And so now, once again, there is Jinxy playing League of Legends for the first time. Now, I'll be honest, I have never watched Jinxy stream before, so this was a new experience for me. What I did know is that he is one of the most subscribed people on Twitch, and he got to the very peak after years of streaming to nobody. So he is one of the rare cases of people who made it after being incredibly consistent with 0 viewers. Now, the catch is that Jinxy is a console player. Exclusively a console player. Meaning he only started playing on PC a couple of months ago. Now, in case you have seen one of our last videos, you know exactly where this is heading. Because yes, it means that getting into a game with point-and-click controls such as League of Legends is not easy whatsoever. So, the journey started with, of course, Tyler wants coaching. Here, it would be really foolish not to admit that, yes, it is really fun watching someone play League of Legends with 0 idea of how to play the game. Is this what it was like watching me playing Genshin for the first time? But then you got Tyler explaining summoner spells, and runes, and where are your buttons on a keyboard? And then the gameplay started. I don't know what it is, but there is just something about watching someone else trying to figure out how keyboard works that makes it into peak content. I mean, Tyler told him to spawn a dummy, and he wasn't sure how to press Shift B.
Hi, Vice. Does this keyboard have a shift key?
What are you talking about?
No.
Brother, are you a controller player like your entire life?
Yes, bro. I started playing PC like a couple months ago. Wait, chat. Where is shift? Your flash.
It says shift on your computer.
Yeah, but I don't see anything that says shift. I just see control. Is that?
Oh
all?
no. Oh no.
Now, zero shade to Jinxy. This is simply where technology is heading. Kids these days know touchscreens and controllers. And look, I have 2 kids. I know, a shocker, but I am witnessing this as a parent from the first row. This right here, this is awesome, and this is exactly what League needs. It needs new players. But this struggle is exactly what Riot's been dealing with for the past few years. You see, throughout League's history, Riot has been really bad at bringing new players into League of Legends. And throughout this history, they tried to open the door and they always failed. This is likely because MOBAs are simply very hard to get into. We are talking about very complex games. But on top of this, if you really think about this, League of Legends, with its mouse point-and-click controls, is one of the last ones to ever use this control scheme for a competitive game. In fact, the very last time, ignoring League of Legends, this control scheme was used in a competitive game was with StarCraft 2. That was the last RTS game that went big. And we are talking about a game that came out in 2010. In other words, unfortunately, we are talking about 16 years ago. And that is more years than the average age of a person you would want in League of Legends. Which results in new players simply having no idea how to even tackle this game. Now, as I mentioned, Riot is absolutely aware of this. And they've been a little bit ahead of the game, and that is why at the beginning of 2026 they introduced the WASD controls. And yes, it is insane to me that Jinxy is the prime example of someone who should be using the new WASD controls, but nobody told him about it. What's even crazier is that in literally the latest patch, Riot also started supporting controller support for the WASD control scheme. Now, after all the testing, Riot did confirm that the win rate delta between WASD and point-and-click is actually really small. And by the time all the new players pick up the new control scheme, it should equal out. Again, this is according to Riot's internal statistics. So if Jinxy used the WASD controls, he would be likely climbing a lot higher. But again, nobody even told him about it because everyone who coached him so far used point-and-click for the last decade. And Riot is now actively trying to fight against it. But that is not where our story ends. You see, watching Jinxy play League of Legends for the first time, that's just one half of the story. The other half is what happened on his second stream playing League of Legends.
But Jinxy, you leveled this account, you didn't buy it. I remember you leveling it, and then you forgot to get...
So yes, I have no idea whose idea it was. There is no way a new player would have thought about this though. But Jinxy bought a new account so he could dive straight into ranked. The reason why this is so hilarious is because for the past 2 years, Riot made massive, incredible improvements in fighting back the black market of selling accounts. And after Vanguard dropped and their own anti-cheat kicked in, Riot now has an incredible 98% accuracy in banning botted accounts. And they already managed to ban millions of accounts in this movement. Truly, this is an incredible achievement on Riot's part. Now, of course, they are still fighting against selling accounts that were hand-leveled because the tech can't detect that. And so, after making all of these huge leaps, to see a huge streamer buy an account and play with it live, well, we all know what was gonna happen. And the legendary Drew Levin dropped the hammer himself. And when he did, there were 2 kinds of people who rose up. There were all the people who defended Jinxy, saying that leveling accounts sucks anyway and he did the right thing. But even before he was banned, there was the other half of the people. It was all the people who noticed that that account wasn't his. and he should be held accountable just like everyone else. I mean, he was playing on a level 30 account that was suspiciously a bronze. And so, when the ban came, surprisingly, people were just happy. It simply showed that Riot is treating everyone by the same rules, even if you are the biggest streamer in the world. And so no matter if you're at the very top, just don't buy accounts. But that is where Riot made the real W move. Because you see, buying accounts usually doesn't give you a permanent hardware ban. Meaning that Riot simply takes your account away, but they allow you to make your own account. Riot totally understands this. But as part of the new League Partner Program, the creator team has a new tool in their tool belt. You see, sometimes, in order for creators to do collabs with other people on other servers, they would need an account on that server. So even though in the past Riot didn't really want to do this, these days they can give you a new level 30 account so you can make content with other people. Again, this is specific for content creators. And since Jinxy is making free content for everyone, Riot absolutely had the power to give him a new level 30 account that would be placed directly in Iron 5. Because as is obvious from the gameplay, that's actually where he belongs. And that is what sparked an entirely new discussion. If the leveling process in League of Legends wasn't so bad, Jinxy wouldn't have to buy an account. Right? Well, let's talk about leveling then. There are two big reasons why account leveling is actually important. First of all, it mitigates the selling account empire. If your account is only useful if you are at level 30, well, someone has to level it up before it can be sold. If this barrier wouldn't be there, people would just sell accounts instantly after getting created. Not to mention, you could just make your own free account. So truth be told, the empire would be gone. But that is then linked to the question, why are people buying accounts in the first place? And well, in 90% of all the times, it is because they are avoiding bans. Yes, it is not because they want to play in a lower tier game. It is because they got banned on their main account and they want something else to play on. And so most people who troll in a game and they throw it and they get banned, well, they buy a new account for $10 and do the same thing again. That is literally what all the account selling is about. And to prevent that from happening, you need some leveling to be there. But then there is also the third reason, which is the reason that impacted Jinxy the most. Because you see, while you are playing your first games of League of Legends as you are leveling up, the system is already looking at your skill. So that by the time you get to level 30 and by the time you are ready for ranked, when you queue up in your game, you are already placed into matches with people of your according skill. That is quite literally what the hidden MMR system is about. And because Jinxy didn't do this, when he was placed into games, it was very obvious he did not belong there. And so, in doing so, he did ruin the game for everyone else. So then, is this a good reason why leveling should stay in the game? Truth be told, these days, not really. The reality is that the old level 30 system is there because it worked during the old days. That's when Riot didn't have their own systems that would kick in. So people had to level up to deal with all the previous issues. Not to mention, there is also the infamous statistics that shows that if Riot unlocked everything for everyone at the beginning of the game, apparently people just stopped playing the game because they were overwhelmed with the number of champions. That is why people still have to buy champions with blue essence. Riot would be down to just give it to players for free, but apparently people just leave if they have too many champions. That is a real statistic. And so, at the very least, the old leveling system is still giving people champions at a good pace. Anyway, more importantly, because all of Riot's systems massively improved over time, it was confirmed that the skill detection is really good. And it can estimate your exact skill based on only a couple of games. That is despite Riot confirming that the new True Skill 2 system is not as good as their own system. They can also now instantly detect bad behavior, that is both in the chat, which is where things got really scary, but also in the game. Riot is really good at detecting if you are griefing the game. Apparently now it only takes about 2 games for someone running it down mid to get instantly banned. And so overall, because the game gets your skill quickly, and because you get banned for trolling quickly anyway, There aren't really big reasons for the level 30 requirement to stay there anymore. So the only reason it is there now is really just for the rewards. So what if the leveling system could be improved? What if Riot could do something like you have to play 10 normal games and own a certain number of champions and then you can play ranked? Honestly, that would have worked just as well. And so, throughout all of this chaos, Jinxy accidentally started a whole new movement that showed that yes, it totally makes sense for Riot to use the new WASD controls. Jinxy is the living example of this. And yes, perhaps it is time to improve the leveling. I mean, look, we had the big movement with the Hextech chests, and people did complain about blue essence pricing. We're making a full loop back to the beginning, aren't we?
Our creator team has an account for you. Wait! Iron account! W Drew!